Start the second chapter of chemistry of class 9, that is matter around us is pure. Is matter around us is pure. Let us discuss various matter which is around us. Water, it is pure, it is termed as compound. The iron objects, it is pure, it is termed as element. The sugar water mixture, it is impure and it is a solution. The sand sugar mixture, it is impure, it is an mixture. The wood, it is a compound. And the other things which you see, you can categorize it as element, compound or mixture, pure or impure, when I will teach you what is element, what is compound and what is mixtures. But we know the matter around us is pure as well as impure. Let us categorize them as pure and impure. But in the previous chapter we have discussed what? That matter based on the chemical property, based on the physical property, it is categorized into solid, liquid and gas. But to the next one, based on chemical property, it is categorized into pure and impure. Pure substances and impure substances. Pure substances, they are further categorized into what? Element, and the next one is compound. So the next, impure substances are categorized into what? Homogeneous. Homogeneous mixtures. And the next one is heterogeneous mixtures. Impure substances are also termed as let us discuss them. Then after that we will discuss one by one. Pure substances, it means their composition remains constant everywhere. They are termed as pure substances. Whereas in case of mixtures, the composition is not fixed, it varies. Let us discuss element. An element is composed of only one kind of atom. For example, if we are discussing about the gold, then the gold ornament, if it is pure, without any alteration or impurity in it, then the gold consists of only and only gold atoms. And it is termed as element. Compound, we know, glucose is an compound, water is an compound. What it means? Water is an compound because it consists of hydrogen and oxygen in a constant proportion. That proportion is fixed if we take water from anywhere. It means its composition is fixed everywhere and it is constant. Therefore, it is termed as pure substances. To the next, we will discuss mixtures. We know when two or more than two elements or compound mixed together in any proportion, the proportion is not fixed. If the proportion is not fixed, then the composition is not fixed. And when composition is not fixed, then it is termed as mixtures. Mixtures are of two types, homogeneous and heterogeneous. We will discuss, as the name indicates, homogeneous. Homogeneous means the composition is uniform throughout the mixtures. It means it has uniform distribution. To the next, heterogeneous mixtures, as the name indicates, hetero means different Genus means the distribution. That means it has different distribution throughout the mixtures. That is termed as heterogeneous mixtures. First of all, we will discuss the impure substances. Impure substances. They are termed as mixtures. You know what is mixtures? Mixtures means when we mix two substances. When we mix sand into water, when we mix sand into pulses, when we mix rice into wheat. It means when we mix two substances, then they form mixtures. They have not the fixed composition. It means they are not mixed in a proportion. They can be mixed in any proportion, and the result is mixtures. How we can define mixtures? It means when two or more than two substances, when two or more than two substances, it may be element or compound. Element and compound. When two or more than two substances mix together, combine together, mix together, in any proportion, then it is termed as, then it is termed as mixtures. Let us take example. The first one, when we mix what? Sugar and sand. The proportion is not fixed. You can mix any quantity of sugar into any quantity of sand. The next, iron sulfur mixture. You can mix any amount of iron chunks into sulfur powder. You can mix any amount of sand into soil. These are the example of what? Mixtures. What we know, when two or more than two substances, it may be element, it may be compound. Element means gold, iron, platinum, titanium. Metals are termed as pure and they are termed as element. Non-metals too are elements such as chlorine, oxygen. Air is an example of mixtures of gases because it contains oxygen, it contains nitrogen, it contains argon in their various proportion. It contains carbon dioxide. It means, in case of air, it is a mixture of gases, but the proportion of different gases is not fixed. And if not proportion is not fixed, then it is termed as mixture. Let us discuss the two type of mixtures, that is homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. The first one is homogeneous mixture. As the name indicates, that is homo. As the name indicates, homo. Homo means uniform. Uniform means it has same composition. Homogeneous mixture, it means a mixtures which have same composition, which have same composition throughout the mixture. It means the composition is fixed. Let us know it by taking an example. If we have a beaker and we fill it with water, on filling it with water, what we do? We add sugar to it. When we add sugar, on adding sugar, what we see? When we test a droplet from here, when we test a droplet from here, when we test a droplet from here, what we see? We see that the drops are equally sweet. Why they are equally sweet? They are equally sweet because the distribution of sugar in water is uniform. That's why it is termed as homogeneous mixtures. For example, when we dissolve sugar in water. Sugar in water is an example of mixture because you can mix any quantity of sugar in any volume of water. It means the proportion of water and sugar is not fixed. If it is not fixed, then it is an example of mixtures. When we dissolve sugar in water and test various droplets from various position in the mixture, then we observe that they are equally sweet. Why this is so? They are equally sweet. They are equally sweet because the distribution of sugar in water is uniform. Therefore, it is termed as homogeneous mixture. What we have studied, impure substances are termed as mixtures. This is so because the composition is not fixed. It means we can mix two substances in any proportion when it is termed as mixtures. With this example, and we are discussing the homogeneous mixtures. Homo means uniform. Mixtures, it means they have same distribution throughout the mixtures. We have taken an example of sugar dissolved in water. When sugar dissolves in water, and when we test various droplets from various positions, what we see that these droplets are equally sweet. Why this is so? This is so because the distribution of sugar inside the water is uniform. It means it is same everywhere. That's why it is termed as homogeneous mixtures. We will discuss heterogeneous mixtures. Heterogeneous mixtures. As the name indicates, heterogeneous. It means the distribution is not uniform. Hetero, it means non-uniform distribution. It means a mixtures in which the distribution is not same throughout the mixtures. That is termed as heterogeneous mixtures. What we know? Mixtures which have not same distribution throughout the mixture. It means at some points in mixtures one component at some point in the mixture, the concentration of one component is higher, and at other places the concentration of other component is higher. It means a mixtures, if there is two component, when we mix them, if it happens that at one position the concentration of one component is higher, and at other position the concentration of another component is higher, what we see, the composition is different at different places in the mixtures. If it's so, it is termed as heterogeneous mixture. Let us take an example of sugar mixed with sand. When we mix sugar with sand, on mixing we see at some places the concentration of sugar is higher, at some places the concentration of sand is higher. It means it has different concentration of sugar and sand at one places, and it has different concentration of sugar and sand at other places. What we got? If in this mixtures at one places there is difference in the concentration of sugar and sand in comparison to the concentration of sugar and sand at other places in the same mixture. What we conclude, if there are mixtures and they have different concentration of different substances at different places, then that is termed as heterogeneous mixtures. To the next, we will discuss element. You have seen various kind of element in our daily life. Let us discuss the iron rod, gold, the next one silver, aluminum, silver, which we see in our daily life, these are the example of element. Why they are termed as elements? Let us discuss copper utensils. Let us discuss elements. If we are discussing the iron rod, if this one is iron rod, if we have this iron rod, when we see its internal composition, let us see it. We are going to see this part. When we see a magnified part of this iron, see that it is composed of atom. We are going to see the magnified image of this iron object. What we are observing on microscopic examination, we observe that this iron rod is made up of only one kind of item, that is Fe, 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 Fe. What we observe? That iron rod is only and only composed of iron atom. And we know the iron atoms are identical. This iron atom is identical to this one. It means an element is composed of same kind of atom. First, what we got? We got an element. An element is composed of only one kind of atom. As we see here, we are discussing element, iron rod, gold rod, aluminum, silver, copper, chlorine, oxygen. They are termed as element. What means element? It means they are composed of only one kind of atom. If it is composed of only one kind of atom, then they have same chemical property. Because they are same, they are identical. They have same chemical property. They have same physical property. It means we haven't any property in difference in them. If we have not any property in difference to them, because they are identical, therefore we cannot separate it. What we know? They are composed of same kind of atom or atom